At 4 o'clock in the morning, that's not a sound you'd expect to hear when someone is unloading their rifle. I was guard commander at the time. The team had been working through the night. It was cold, it was wet, that sideward sleet that gets right in every orifice. Everyone was tired. One of the airmen removed their magazine from their rifle, thought that they had cleared their weapon of ammunition, and then pulled the trigger. And a live round discharged straight into the sandpit in front of them. No one was hurt, but that could have easily turned into a disaster. What happened next taught me one of the most important lessons in performance. Nobody asked, "Who's to blame?" The first question was, what happened? Because if we didn't understand what happened, we were likely to repeat it. Welcome back to the Cognitive Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Clint Ray, high performance coach, speaker, and author of The Cognitive Athlete. Over the past 8 episodes, we've talked about a lot of things, from decision quality to overload, emotional control, and performing under pressure. This week, we're talking about something that sits behind all improvement, and that is reflection. Most people experience things, but very few people learn from them. Let's dive into it. Going back for a minute to that ND or negligent discharge, the interesting part wasn't the mistake itself. It was what happened afterwards. Nobody rushed to blame that person. Nobody pointed fingers, and nobody said, "Be more careful next time." Instead, we reviewed the event. We reviewed what happened, why did it happen, what conditions contributed to it, what can we learn from it, and what do we need to change. And what we discovered was that fatigue had played a major role. With long shifts, the cold conditions, end of the night and end of the shift routine, reduced vigilance. The procedure wasn't the problem, the system around it was. And as a result, changes were made. Shift patterns were reviewed, the processes were improved, and we shared the lessons. One mistake became an opportunity to improve the system. And that's the power of reflection. One of the biggest myths in performance is that experience automatically makes us better. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't. If it did, everyone with 10 years of experience would be amazing. Instead, what we often see is 1 year of experience repeated 10 times. Experience alone doesn't create the improvement. Reflection does, review does, and learning does. The lesson isn't in the event itself. The lesson is in the review afterwards. A few years ago, I was working with a project management company, and I asked a simple question. What happens at the end of a project? And I expected to hear things like, well, we ran a review. We worked out what worked, what didn't, what lessons we're going to carry forward, which subcontractors we would use and not use again, and what we would do differently next time. Instead, the answer I got back was, we just moved on to the next project. And that was the exact problem. Many of the project managers were running 2 or 3 projects at the same time. As soon as one project finished, they were already focused on the next deadline, the next client, the next fire to put out, always moving forward, never stopping. And the result? The same contractor issues, the same communication breakdowns, and the same cost overruns. And it wasn't because they didn't know any better. It was because they never stopped long enough to learn. Reviewing was seen as something that slowed the process down, something that got in the way of delivery. And I even heard comments that reflection was a bit pink and fluffy, something that coaches, facilitators, and meditators do, not serious project managers focused on getting results. The irony was that the highest performing environments I'd worked in did exactly that. from the military to aviation, emergency services, and elite sport. They all stopped to review. Not because they had time to do it, because they couldn't afford not to. They understood something these project managers didn't. Experience alone doesn't create improvement. Reflection does. And if we don't stop and reflect, we often repeat the mistakes we've already paid for. One of the most powerful performance tools I've ever come across is the After Action Review, or AAR for short. And I've seen it used in the military, and I've used it myself. I've used it in emergency services, surf lifesaving, and the SES. High-performing environments understand something really important. The event isn't where most of the learning happens. The review is. After every exercise I ran in the military, whether it lasted for 40 minutes or 6 hours, we'd sit down as a group and review what happened. No egos, no blame, no finger pointing. We just have to set the environment for learning. We ask questions like, what was supposed to happen? What actually happened? What worked well? What didn't work well? And what would we do differently next time? The interesting part for me was watching the difference between the first leader's performance and the last leader's performance. Every person benefited from the lessons learned before the people before them. The final leader was often significantly better than the first, not through talent or luck, simply more lessons, more awareness, and more adjustments. Pilots do the same, emergency services do the same, and elite athletes do the same. The activity ends and the review begins. Lessons are captured and performance improves. Yet, in many organizations, we skip this step. We're on to the next project, the next meeting, the next deadline. Always moving, rarely reviewing. Now let's look at the After Action Review template, and it is incredibly simple. It consists of 4 questions. Number 1, what was supposed to happen? Number 2, what actually happened? Number 3, what went well? And finally, number 4, what will I do differently next time? That's it. There's no blame, no judgment, no beating yourself up about it. It's just learning. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, the goal is improvement. Okay, let's turn this into action. This week, I want you to think about reflection, not some pink and fluffy tree hugging thing. We are looking at results, not more activity, just reflection. And it consists of 3 actions. Action number 1, schedule 15 minutes. Block 15 minutes at the end of your week. Put it in your calendar. Do it right now. Treat it like any other important meeting. Action number 2, complete an after-action review. Ask yourself, what was supposed to happen? What actually happened? What went well? What would I do differently next time? Just keep it really simple. It's a reflection over your week. And action number 3, identify 1 lesson, not 10, just 1. 1 thing you'll carry forward into next week. Improvement comes from applying the lesson, not collecting them. And here's an important rule for this week. Don't just experience your week. I want you to review it. After working with athletes, leaders, and teams for years, here's what I've learned. Most people repeat experiences. High performers repeat lessons. That's the difference. They stop, reflect, adjust, and improve. Performance doesn't improve automatically. It improves intentionally. Okay, so let's bring this together. Experience isn't the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. If you want to improve faster, don't just do the work. Review the work. Learn from the work and improve the work. Next week, we'll wrap up season 3. We'll bring everything together and explore what it means to become the type of person who performs when it counts. Ultimately, it isn't about a framework. It's about identity. We'll unpack that next week. And if you have listened all the way to the end of this episode and you'd like a copy of a simple after action review template that I use with my coaching clients and leadership teams, send me a message or just drop a note in the comments and I'll be happy to send it through. Sometimes 5 minutes of reflection can save you from repeating the same mistakes for the next 5 years. And even before you go, I have a special invitation. If there's one thing I've learned from working with athletes, leaders, and coaching clients over the years is this: knowing what to do is rarely the problem. Doing it consistently is. That's exactly why I've created the next 10-week cognitive athlete training cycle, which starts on the 27th of July. Over 10 weeks, we'll focus on the habits, routines, and behaviors that improve your performance under pressure. No more information, just implementation, accountability, and repetition. The things that actually will create the change. And I've got 8 places available. So if you'd like to work with me directly, head over to the link in the show notes, or you can go onto the website, thecognitiveathlete.com.au, and book a 30-minute slot with me and we can have a discussion about it. High performance isn't something you learn, it's something that you train. If someone comes to mind while listening, share this episode with them, hit like and subscribe. That will generally grow the podcast and get it in front of more people that need it. And remember, most people repeat experiences. High performers repeat lessons. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.